Hey everyone, how are you doing? I didn't want to start today's show without acknowledging what our world is going through right now. And I want you to know I'm thinking of you, and I hope that listening to this show gives you some entertainment, some connectivity to the outside world, and something normal. This episode was recorded at the end of January when we were doing different things with our bees at the time, and we had no idea that a global pandemic was coming. So enjoy our happy-go-lucky beekeeper bliss.
This is Beekeeper Confidential, a show about the curious lives of bees and their beekeepers. I'm your host, Mandy Shaw.
Today's guest is a beekeeper who lives in my neighboring state of Washington. He's super active in his local beekeeping community, and through his contributions, he has earned the title of the 2019 WSBA Beekeeper of the Year. We've been communicating with each other online for a while, and I knew he listened to the show, so when he earned that award, I asked him, with fingers crossed, that he would come on the show. Meet Jeff Hall from Frame Apiary.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yay! Okay.
All right.
We're beekeepers, not audio technicians. This is hard for us.
I know. It's crazy.
You learn something new every day.
Absolutely.
So, where are you?
I am on the Hood Canal up in just south of our house. Our house is getting kind of worked on, so we had to get out while they're refinishing the floors. So
It looks nice. Are you like in a cabin?
Yes. Yeah. Right on the Hood Canal.
Oh my gosh. Cool.
It's rough. It's a rough life.
So, it's really cool to meet you.
Me too. Finally.
I know. It's funny. Like, I think we've gotten so accustomed to getting to know people online through social media. But then when you finally do meet them face to face or computer screen to computer screen, it feels like we're old friends.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I've been listening to you for a long time. So.
Well, thank you for joining me.
You're welcome. It's good to be here.
Is it weird to be a guest on the show since you've been listening for such a long time?
Yeah, very weird. Yeah.
Am I making you nervous?
Not too bad.
Yeah, sometimes I get really nervous too. So, Beekeeper of the Year.
Yes. Yeah, it was quite a shock, actually. So.
Was it though, really?
No, it was. Actually, it was kind of interesting. Our club, they sent out a newsletter, and they had like a list of nominations for who they were nominating for Beekeeper of the Year. And I'm like, I open it up. I'm like, holy cow, my name is on this thing. So there was 3 other people on there, and they're like super, super good beekeepers. So I was just like, there's just no way. And then we had our Christmas party, and they're announced Beekeeper of the Year. They're like, Jeff Hall. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me.
And this is for...
It's the West Sound Beekeepers. They're up in it's up in Kitsap Peninsula. We're like an hour west of Seattle.
Okay.
So that usually throws a lot of people off. So if you're standing in Seattle and you look across the water, that's the Kitsap Peninsula that you see on the other side.
So you probably are dealing with way more rainfall than I'm dealing with.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, we get an awful lot of rain. I think was it 2 years ago we got close to 60 inches.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so much.
Yeah, it's a lot of rain. And then just south of us, they get a whole lot more. And, and also even farther west of us, they even get a lot more. So, because we're in a rainforest here.
Yeah. So that probably creates a lot of technical challenges when it comes to taking care of your bees.
Oh, yeah. Winterization here is from, what I, talk with people around the country. Beekeeping here is totally different. I mean, moisture is probably bigger than cold. So, yeah, so we do the whole thing. We do the quilt boxes. We do the make sure you got the sugar molds in there, the sugar cakes in there.
Yeah.
And use moisture boards as well and upper ventilation. I mean, you got to do it all. Tilt the hives, everything, and then still keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah. You're doing something cool this year with putting your sugar molds in egg cartons?
Yeah. So that was, so normally I make molds out of whatever. And this year, since I have so many more hives, I was kind of running out of molds. So we were saving egg cartons for a friend of mine that has chickens. And he was like, oh, I've got so many egg cartons now. I didn't know what to do with them. So I'm looking around the garage and I'm like, oh, egg cartons. I mean, what the heck? Let's try it. So I've took just the bottom part where the egg sits in, and I cut the lids off and then just mounded them up in there like in cakes, and thought, well, see how this works. And it worked really, really good. Because I'm overwintering some nukes as well. So I've got 5x5, side by side nukes, and I've got the sugar board split in half. So I was able to put one egg carton on one side, one egg carton on the other side. And then when you want to go replace it, it works out really good. And another little surprising thing I found the other day, because they consumed a whole one, is that egg carton was like soggy wet. So it's obviously absorbing moisture.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's worked out really, really well. So.
Awesome. I love beekeeper hacks.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips on overwintering nukes? This is my second year trying to overwinter nukes, and it's just not going well.
Really?
Yeah.
So last year, I had one nuke that was just a single 5-frame box, and I basically ran out of resources to put stuff in.
Yeah.
So put her in there, and she, oddly enough, it survived. So this year, I got a little bit more serious. So even my nukes, so I do a 10-frame box, split it in half, and then I got 5 on one side, 5 on the other side. But
you put some kind of divider down?
Yeah. Yep. I put a divider down through the middle. I use like resource hive type of setup.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So then I do the normal quilt box. I do my sugar. Everything's split in two. So I build a sugar box with a divider in the middle, and I also put a queen excluder between the 10-frame box and the sugar box, because she could come up and cross over, and then I've got one colony. But so far so good. I mean, so far I've got 3 boxes going through, so a total of 6, and I just checked them the other day, and they're all doing just fine and dandy. So
oh, good.
So it's working out really well.
Yeah. And you also raise queens. We were talking about that just yesterday.
Yeah. So I started raising queens last year. Down at our club apiary, we do a lot of teaching, and I spent a lot of time down there. And then one day they're like, "Oh, do you want to try grafting?" And I'm like, "Sure, why not?" And so I just kind of played around with it. And then I went home. I'm like, that was kind of cool. So I figured I wanted to raise 6 queens for myself last year. So I decided I was going to try to raise enough for 6 queens. So George is the master beekeeper at our apiary, and he says, figure out maybe about 25% success of what you try.
Wow.
By the time you figure the graft, because you're new, you're grafting, and then will they build the cells out? Will she get mated? Will she lay correctly? So he goes, if you want 6, try to go around 24 grafts and see what you do.
Wow.
I got 18.
Is that beginner's luck, or are you just like naturally good at it?
No, I think, so I got 18 really nice looking cells. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So I had every box I was dividing them and all up, but all 18 of them took. So then I decided, this was fun. So I tried it again. And second time, I was in a little bit of a hurry trying to beat a thunder or a rainstorm out. So I was a little bit too quick. So actually, I didn't have nearly the luck on the second try. But then I did it again on the third and had another 18 or so queens come out. So so it was fun. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So when you're grafting, because I've never tried it, but it's something that I want to try this year and maybe a little farther down the road, do some queen rearing myself on a larger scale. But egg or larva?
Larva. So you have to graft within, I think it's around 12 to 24 hours of the going from the egg to the larva.
And why not an egg?
I don't know the answer to that one. I don't know the answer to that.
Like,
but
could it be damaged?
I would think so. That's a great question.
Maybe it has something to do with the way it's stuck to the bottom of the cell.
No, that could be. That's probably.
Look at us.
Yeah,
we've got all the answers.
We're guessing. Yeah. No, yeah. So I didn't find it too awful hard to actually do the grafting. Mm-hmm. It's probably the biggest thing that you have to do is make sure your cell builder is really, really strong. So I watched a lot of good videos, the Mike Palmers and all these different guys out there.
Yes.
As soon as you think you got enough bees in your cell builder, add a couple more frames. And once they're just totally loaded up, then feed them heavy and give them pollen. And I've learned some tricks that I'm going to do for next year, trying to figure out how to even be better at it.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to try to do a few more things next year to get, even bigger cells, bigger queens. So, yeah.
I saw Mike Palmer at the Oregon State Beekeepers Association conference in October, and he was talking about cell builders.
Yes.
And expanding your operation, just making your own bees, make more.
Yeah.
And I would worry so much about taking away too much from like my resource colony that I'm pulling frames from. Do you have?
So I'm doing the cloak board method. So basically I have a colony, and I was doing it out of a 5-frame nucleus box, which I ended up with being 3 deep, three boxes deep. And then on top of that is my feeder box. So, I've got 4 boxes high. It was kind of a weird looking setup. But so you have a queen in the bottom and she's just laying away. So you have an extra colony, and then you just you put your board in, and then they think that the top part of it, they think they're queenless. And it's a lot of manipulation of making sure that your capped larva is in the right spot. And, because you want all those nurse bees to come up into the top part where the queen cells are being drawn out. So, yeah, there's a lot of details in it. But, I follow Sue Colby from Washington State University, and she has a great cheat sheet, basically, of how to set up that cell builder. And I follow that, piece by piece. But the main thing she doesn't say is how many bees you need in there. And I found out you need a lot of bees in there. So I have enough hives where I'm able to go around and I can steal a frame from here and a frame for there, or I'll shake in, a frame of bees here and there, and they just go crazy.
Could you also do that? Like we're supposed to cycle out our wax every few years. If you feel like you're a little bit wax poor, can you do that just to build up your wax inventory?
Well, you could, I guess the idea would be that you can take a frame and, say if you have a good frame of capped brood, you can put it in there above the queen excluder and let them all hatch out. Say if it's an old frame, you can let them all hatch out, and then you could replace your foundation or your comb in there, and then put that back into your other hives and let them rebuild that back out again.
How much are you feeding your cell builders?
As much as I possibly can give them.
Yeah.
I try to put, so I'm next to my cell builder or my cell frame that I've grafted on, I try to have a frame of pollen. And then on both sides of that, as many bees as I can get in there.
Yeah.
And then I will fill the jar of sugar water. If I have to fill it twice a day, it's twice a day. And then I'll put a full pound patty. I want as much food in there as I possibly can. Yeah.
Are your bees where you live, or do you have apiaries scattered around?
So I have 3 apiaries. Okay. I've got, so I have hives at my home. And then last year we bought some property farther north of us, and we were just having way too many bees at our house. We had way too many bees.
Wait, is there such a thing?
Yeah, this seems like. Yeah. So I moved 6 hives up there, and then so there's 6 hives there, and then just north of us is a garden called Heronswood Gardens. It's like a big public. It's a private garden, but it's a big public place, like a botanical garden. And they were looking for someone to put hives on there just to aid in the pollination. So my hand went up, so I moved 2 hives there too. So yeah, so I've got 16 hives going right now.
Nice. Do you do
Yeah.
most of your queen rearing and cell building at your home apiary just so you
Oh
can
yeah,
be
yeah, yeah.
there? Yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't take a lot of time, but there's time you have to do things at a certain time. You can't wait a day, because otherwise you're running into problems. So yeah, I do all of my queen rearing at the house. So yeah.
And now you are the apiary manager for
Yes.
your beekeeping association.
Yeah, yeah. So that's going to be a big task. So they asked me to be the beekeeper manager, but I've asked them to change it to beekeeping direct or the apiary director because I'm going for my journeyman certification. So a director, you get good points. So anyway, yeah. So I'm taking care of the apiary. So that's another 20, 30 hives that I'm going to be caring for
Wow.
this
How
year.
many
Yeah.
people does your association have?
Oh gosh, I think there's a couple hundred of us.
Oh, so it's a pretty strong club.
Yeah, it's a pretty strong club. Not everybody shows up all the time,
Yeah.
but we have a great apiary down there, and we've got some really, really good people that been around for a long time. And I tell anybody, all the new beekeepers I meet, they're like, "What should I do? Come to the apiary."
Yeah.
So my first 2 years, I was down there at the apiary like almost every single Tuesday and Saturday. And I mean, like last year, I think I was in a hive every day of the week.
That is such an important opportunity and way to accelerate your learning.
Oh yeah.
I think I
Absolutely.
was lucky because I was able to get into a lot of hives in those first couple of years, and it really does make a difference.
Oh yeah. Yeah. My first day at the apiary when I helped, because when I got into beekeeping, I couldn't take the class. So
Oh.
so I kind of learned on my own. So I went down to the apiary. My very first day, they had me mark 2 queens, and we did a split. And I had barely even been around bees at all. And so you learn so much of what's going to happen in your apiary versus, just learning the basic stuff. But you're standing right next to someone who's got tons of years of experience, and they'll teach you so much. So yeah. And I'm constantly asking questions, and I'm probably driving people crazy because I like
Oh.
to, I like to ask 2 or 3 different people and see what answers, because everybody's got a different answer to a question.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of guys down there. We've become good friends, and we're just always asking questions about things. And I read this on the internet. What do you think? Does it apply to us? And we're just always chit chatting on
Yeah.
topic.
So what's a hot topic that you guys are talking about lately?
The dreaded varroa mite.
Oh, yes.
The thing is that on the winter solstice, that's when we generally treat with oxalic acid. And a lot of the guys were using these screen bottom boards, and they would treat, then they would pull the boards out 24 hours later, and we were getting huge mite drops. And what was really weird is we've always in the past have figured at around that time frame we're broodless, but we were finding then they would treat again and get more mites, and treating again and get more mites. So we kind of assuming that they never really shut down because we had such a mild winter.
Yeah.
And
I'm afraid
again,
that that's happening here in Portland too. It's been warm and mild, and when I look at the bottom boards, I see those like brood cappings that have been chewed, and
yeah. Yeah. So we're talking about the mites and how to handle the mites. Is oxalic acid vapor, that's been kind of our go-to, but there's now I listened to Randy Oliver talk at a local meeting up in Everett last fall, and he's really big into the dribble and the towel method, and I did some dribble last year for the first time, and all those hives are alive.
Yeah.
I want something I can use on my nukes I'm overwintering because I can't vaporize them properly.
Right.
So I do the dribble, and they're still alive and they're doing well. And well, I sure like that method better than the vapor. It's much safer.
Oh, I really hate doing the vaporization.
Yeah. So
I really hate it.
Yeah, because I use at my apiaries, I use the wands. I got 2 wands, a battery, and lugging that thing around. And then at the club apiary, we have the Pro Vape. And I did all those hives by myself. I did 20 hives by myself in just about an hour. I mean, it's amazingly fast, but the amount of vapor that you're putting out is just incredible. So it was really interesting. The time before that, Dave was down at the apiary. We did a side by side comparison. So we had a top bar hive that has little windows on the side. And then we had a Ware hive that has the little windows in the side. So I put my battery one in the Ware, and he put the Pro Vape into the top bar, and we opened up the windows so we can watch the vapor. Wow, what a difference. That Pro Vape just filled that whole cavity full of vapor, whereas the wand, it was a nice slow vapor. So
yeah,
does one work better than the other? I don't know, but it was a really good side by side comparison of what's going on. So
that's interesting. I have just a really cheap one that I got on Amazon, and yeah, sometimes I'm not so sure that it's working really well.
Well, it's probably the battery. The battery can be the biggest thing. Yeah. If your battery, because I keep a charge on my battery all the time. I'll do 5 or 6 hives, and I'll charge it in 5 or 6. But that's because my hives are spread out over the place, so I have a chance to charge it. But yeah, but that Pro Vape's neat. But I just that wearing the full face mask, and if that hive isn't sealed up really, really well, boy, it really gets out. So down at our apiary, we have AZ hives, and we have long drift. And each one of them's got their pros and cons with treating it, and some of them are really hard to block off. So the vapor escapes, and that's not my favorite.
I have screened bottom boards on my top bar hives, and so I made a special insert for them that I could put the vaporizer into and then close it off. And it worked so. I mean, there was still vapor escaping through the panel and the insert. Yeah. I mean, that's a logistical thing about so many treatments. It's like, are they really compatible with all the different hives that are out there?
I don't think so. And, when we start talking to new beekeepers, and they love all those different hives, but boy, I wish they would just stay with the Langstroth type hive until they have their feet wet.
Yeah.
And then experimenting with the other hives. Yeah.
Yeah. I did Langstroth for 2 years, and then I added Ware and Top Bar in my 3rd year.
Yeah.
I like the Wares because of the size of the boxes. They're really easy for me to lift, but at the same time, management of them is really a challenge.
Yeah. I think down at our club apiary, I think they've lost the bees every single year in the Ware. The one hive that just seems to rock like crazy is we have a long Langstroth, and oh my goodness, that hive just comes out of the winter so strong.
Really?
Yeah.
Our club has one, and it is never successful.
Really, I wonder if it's how it was built.
Could be.
Yeah. This thing just the bees come out mean. Seem like they're always mean. But no, that we were looking at that hive the other day, and it's just boiling with bees.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when a hive is mean, do you make splits from it?
Well, usually if they're mean, I requeen.
Yeah.
That's one thing I learned with queen rearing, is how to kill queens. It's not a fun thing, but you get used to it. So because I was so afraid I was going to produce a poor queen, that if I didn't like what she did, I would replace her. So, and then I've only had one hive where they were so mean that I'd be mowing the grass and they were just after me.
Oh my gosh.
But when you had 6 hives, it was hard to kind of tell which hive they were coming from, but I finally figured it out, and I requeened it. But, it takes a while for that brood to all cycle through. It's not like you change the queen and the next day that's calm. It took a while. It took a couple of weeks for finally I can say, okay, we're okay now.
So I'm curious about that hive's temperament. When you figured out which hive it was, and you can compare to, like, if you're not doing anything with the hive and they're that mean and they're chasing after you when you're mowing the lawn, compared to when you're actually opening the hive and working with them. Were they that very different from your other colonies?
Oh yeah, they were just in my face. That's just
no fun.
Well, my cell builder last year had to be the meanest hive I have ever seen. I would just, because I had it behind my shed, was like in its little area, and I just come around the corner and here they come. I mean, I had to fully suit up just to feed them sugar.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, they, I mean, I would have to put a veil on and stuff. And then normally I go gloveless, but I couldn't go gloveless around them because they would just come out. I don't know if because I was manipulating them so much,
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, because I was always taking frames out, but she was one I was happy to dispatch.
Yeah, I bought a mite biter queen, or the ankle biter queen. There's a guy in Oregon that bought a breeder queen, and then he, has been breeding off of it. And I bought one from him, and he's like, it's not going to be mite resistant right away. Like, the colony's not going to just immediately, now they have this queen, now they're going to have this mite resistance. Like, it's going to take brood cycles to completely change the profile of the colony.
Yeah. Because you got to do that you got to get rid of all those old bees and you got to get them in. Yeah. I haven't played with the ankle biters yet, so hopefully this year we'll get some.
Well, I'll probably get another one from him. The colony that I put her in, they went into winter pretty small. They're in a top bar hive and they're taking up about 6 frames. So they're pretty tiny, but they're still going.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. Are you putting pound patties on yet?
Not yet. I'm thinking probably mid to late March is when I'll go in and add patties and start feeding syrup.
Okay. Do you know who Lori Miller is?
No.
Miller Compound Bees. She's up here in Washington. Huge bee breeder. And on Facebook yesterday, she's putting pound patties on now.
Already?
Yes.
Wow.
Are you kidding me? So
she's doing it up there.
I'm hopefully going to see her Monday. So I'm going to ask her 1,000 questions.
Yeah. Oh, this makes me kind of excited because tomorrow we're supposed to reach almost 60 degrees.
Dang.
Yeah. So this could be a really good day to open up and add some pollen patties.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what I'm doing after our call. I'm going to make some patties.
I've got 40 pounds of patties sitting there ready to go in. I'm a little bit, gun shy to put them in just too soon, but man, she's just south of me.
What if there's a freeze though? I think that's what I'm scared of if we get a freeze in February.
Yeah. I think I'm going to probably wait a little bit, but I've got some nukes I want to produce this year and I need to start building up bees. I've got a lot of bees right now, but I just want to make sure when I do my split stuff for nukes, I've got a lot of bees.
Yeah.
And so I want to start putting pollen patties on soon, but I'm with you. I'm a little bit nervous going this soon, but
oh my gosh. I started using pollen patties last year and I fed them in the springtime and then again in August and September. And I was really, really pleased with how big my colonies were going into winter, and they came out big too. This year I got way too busy and I really was a terrible beekeeper in the fall and I didn't feed them pollen patties. And there are quite a few colonies that went into winter smaller than they should be.
Yeah. Well, some queens go smaller in the winter, so that's one thing about
it's scary though. It's like, because I've had so many dead outs where you open it up and it's just this, sad little patch of dead bees.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
I think this is a great segue into beekeeping bloopers.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a long story, but so when I first, got bees, I got them from Brushy Mountain down there by south of you.
Yes.
Yeah, and unfortunately they're gone. But so anyway, I got a nuke from them, and as soon as I get home and I go put them in a box, and as I'm transferring, frames, there's a swarm cell, in this little nuke, and I'm like, okay, no big deal. I'll pinch it off, like you're supposed to. And I put her in an 8-frame box, and she filled that thing up so much and just continued to make swarm cells. And I just could not keep up with her. So one day, I look outside, my wife and I were, eating lunch, and I look outside, and sure enough, there's the swarm, and they're just going crazy. So, so I go out there in my first swarm catch, I'm addicted now. And, but they land on a fence post of all things. And, so I get that, swarm all caught and put in a box. So this year, so I carried her over. So this last season, 2019, same thing. Wife and I are eating lunch and look out there and there's this huge swarm going. And so, we learned one thing is that our first piece of equipment that we grab is a camera. My wife's a photographer.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. So we grabbed the camera, but this time the swarm kept on going up and up and up and ended up going about 40 or 50 feet up in this big old cedar. And it's like right above the apiary. So I'm thinking, okay, what do you do now? So I figured, well, I'll tie a heavy stick to a rope and try to throw it up over the branch. And I couldn't get even close to it. So I'm also a fisherman. So I'm starting to think, well, you know what? If I can use a fishing pole, and I had an old slingshot. So I had my wife actually hold the fishing pole and kind of aim it at the swarm. And I took my slingshot and I shot it over the branch. And first attempt, I got a little fishing line over the top. I fished up a heavier cord. And so what I did then is I set a tarp down, on the ground, and I set my hive down. And the only thing you can do is you're going to give it one good yank, and you're standing right underneath it. So I'm standing, and I give it a big old yank, and the whole ball comes down and just everywhere on the tarp, just everywhere. And I looked down at the hive box I had sitting down there, and sure enough, they're right there at the opening, their butts in the air and fanning away. And I'm like, holy cow, I caught her. So I let them kind of calm down a little bit. And then I come back about an hour later, there's no bees in the box.
Oh, God.
No way. So I look up there on the branch and there's still a fair amount of bees up there. So I'm like, okay, let's do this again. So give it a big old yank and down come the bees. And sure enough, there they are fanning at the entrance. And I'm like, okay, this is okay. So then I come back a little bit later, no bees. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. So then I'm like, well, okay, enough with this. So I start, the bees were not on the branch anymore. So I decide, well, I'm just going to clean up my mess. So I take the top, take the box weight, and then I go lift that bottom board and it's heavy. And I go to flip it over. And what do I see? There's the swarm was underneath the bottom board, and right smack dab in the middle is a red marked queen, the same queen
my
that I
gosh.
got last the year before. So this story continues. So now I get them into a box and I put them on my hive stand, and they've got a new home and all is good. So then I come back a couple weeks later just to make sure she's laying and everything. And I go into that hive and I'm searching and searching and searching. I can't find her. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So, but I did find like emergency cells, and I'm thinking, well, maybe she just didn't make it or whatever happened. I don't know. So I'm thinking, well, what do I do? And I had just purchased a whole bunch of queens from Old Soul down south. And so I was like, well, you know what? I'll go grab one of those queens and I'll go because it was actually, I had one in a 5-frame nuke right next to her hive. So I go open up that nuke and I'm searching through there. And what do I find? A red marked queen. Yeah. She had left, I don't know how this happened, but she had left that hive and went next door, killed my brand new queen, and took up shop there.
That's so weird.
I've never heard of that before.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's I don't know if that's considered a blooper or not, but
that's a total anomaly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder if she was escorted by anybody, or if she just wandered out and then wandered back in and went to the wrong hive.
I don't know. I really don't know. They were side by side on a hive stand, and I have no idea.
Bees are so mysterious.
Yeah. Yeah. And then she only lasted for about a month or two. And then she just really just stopped laying. And that was the end of it. And so then I had to requeen it all over again. So yeah. So I got two swarm catches off the same queen. So,
jeez. I noticed on your Instagram page, you have the same water cooler bucket on a pole swarm catcher that I have.
Yeah, I tell you, the first year I used that thing so much. Yeah, that's been such a handy tool.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I think I was able to get a significant amount of more swarms than I would have without it. And I
Yeah.
also don't like climbing up on ladders unless I
No, I'm not.
absolutely have to.
I'm not a heights person.
Yeah.
So yeah. Sometimes I wish the pole was longer, so I could get up higher. But because I think I can get about 20 some odd feet with it.
Wow.
You know.
I think mine's only 15 feet long.
Okay. Yeah. So I used it like first year I used it like crazy. Last year all the swarms were like knee height.
Oh, that's so lucky.
Yeah, they were just one after another. I'm thinking because I carried in the season, I got bee gear in my truck all the time. I got it in my truck right now because I'm still doing bee stuff now from whatever. But anyway, it's all the swarms last year were really low to the ground, but they were all really, really big. Mm-hmm. So I was afraid I need to start carrying 2 nuke boxes instead of just one.
Yeah. I use my bee bucket.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I just use, it's a Home Depot bucket with a ventilation hole drilled in the side and then an entrance hole drilled in the side. And that's just what I put all my swarms in for transporting and stuff.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty small, and so carrying wooden boxes around, it's a little more effort than I want to put out.
Yep.
But I can carry a plastic bucket, no problem.
Well, you got to try the Pro Nuke. I got one of those.
Are those the little styrofoam ones?
Oh, no, it's plastic.
It's plastic.
Yeah, it's I got mine from Man Lake. It's a plastic nuke, and you can do an entrance out at either end. You can actually put a soda bottle or a water bottle and poke holes in it and feed through that.
Oh, wow.
You'll never overwinter a hive in it, but it's fantastic for putting your swarms in it. Like you said, it's light. It's holds 5 frames. And then once the bees are in there, these little doors shut. So the doors will shut so that you don't have to do anything special. You can turn one way or the other way for ventilation. It's pretty cool. It's a nice little tool to have if you're catching swarms.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Let's talk about baiting swarm traps and putting up swarm traps, because you and I had a little competition going this last spring.
Yeah,
I was catching swarms in mine a little bit before you were.
Yeah. So I have 5 swarm traps I put out.
Are they always in the same place?
So far, yeah. And the one that I thought, because down at our club apiary, we do a lot of teaching, so we let hives get away from us on purpose. And I thought for sure I'd catch a swarm down there, but never did. But I had a couple other ones that they just went right straight to it. But all I put in mine is I try to find the oldest, nastiest comb I can find. So if, instead of culling out some comb, I'll put that old comb in there. And then every couple of weeks, I take a Q-tip, I put a little lemongrass oil on it, and shove it into the hole. Mm-hmm. That's all I do, and it's all location. I mean, location, really.
Yeah,
so
I agree. Location is really important. I tried Swarm Commander. I had really high hopes for it, but what I noticed was like right after applying it, you'd get all these bees showing up, and it was almost like they were getting junked out on it. And then that wears off, and then I really didn't notice any big difference than just using lemongrass oil and brood comb.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did fine with it that way too. So yeah, I thought about trying the Swarm Commander, but just
I give it 2.5 stars.
Okay.
I mean, it just didn't seem like worth the hype for an immediate response. Like if you're out catching a swarm that is kind of sluggish and not really cooperating.
Yeah.
It's helpful with that.
Okay.
But so is lemongrass oil. So, yeah.
Oh, you mean about them going into the hive or something?
Yeah, or like getting them to go in the box. Like if it's cold or something and they're just not being as responsive as you want, that can help move things along a little bit faster.
Yeah, I leave my swarm boxes, like when I go catch a swarm, I leave the box almost overnight, and then I come back really early in the morning and pick it up. So
I'm a bad beekeeper. Once I get like what I feel like is as many as I can get at the time, because I'll usually spend an hour or two at that location.
Yeah.
I take those bees with me, and then I tell the homeowners or the business, if the ball of bees that is there in the morning is bigger than a baseball, call me and I will come and get them.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of beekeepers feel like don't leave any behind. But in nature, when swarms move from one location to the next, there's always going to be some left behind.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah,
So,
I had my one experience, and this is why I leave it. I had one experience where I had collected the bees and I was in a kind of a hurry, so I took the box home with me. And then, it was almost a week later, the homeowner called me back and said, the bees are still there, but now they're angry. So I went back again, and it's, you know how hard it is now to catch bees that are, you know, they're basically lost bees and they don't want to do anything. So I kind of felt bad by doing that. So now I try to leave the box, you know, wherever I'm at. I try to leave it there, you know, at least till dark.
yeah.
Or I come back early in the morning, you know.
Have you ever had a swarm take off on you when you've left it in the box?
Yes, I think it was last year. We had it was down the end of our street. Lucia, one of the people on our street that keeps bees, one of her hives swarmed, and I took another new beekeeper with me and showed her how to catch a swarm. That's the one time we used the bucket, and I mean, put them in the hive, and boy, it was all good. And I left the box sitting there, and Lucia called me next morning and said, "There's no bees in this box." And only thing we can assume is they went back. I don't know where they went, but you know, they didn't stick around. Yeah.
I've had it happen one time.
Really?
And I was like, never again. So as soon as I've got the majority, I just take them.
Yeah. I know a lot of people say to put brood in the box, you know, so then that will make them stay.
Yeah. But I almost wonder, like, if they've already decided on a new location and they're just waiting for everybody to, like, get the new coordinates or get the message that they're all leaving. Like, if you put them in another container, I guess I wonder, like, how do you erase that message that they're going to leave again?
You need to call Tom Seeley. He'll tell you.
I can do that. Where can people find you?
Well, my Instagram is full Frame Apiary. So and then also I have a Facebook page, which is full Frame Apiary. So yeah, so we chose full Frame Apiary because we were thinking of something that would go along with my wife's photography, you know, full frame, you know.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
Yeah, so it worked out pretty well, and so she tries to tag along with me every now and then and take photos, and, and she's not really the bee person, so I should have had a picture of her when we did a swarm catch, and I used the bucket, and then I turn around and she's standing there just still, and she's covered in bees. But she had her bee jacket on and everything, but still.
That's love, though.
Oh yeah. She puts up with my obsession of buying boxes and painting boxes, and I'm constantly building, and you know, we've got all these sheds, and she says that every one of them's got bee gear in it now. So
it's the natural progression.
Oh yeah. She's a trooper. She puts up with me.
Well, Jeff, it has been so much fun getting to talk with you and getting to know you and sharing stories.
And by the way, I've been enjoying your mascot over your shoulder.
Oh, the guitars?
No, your dog.
Oh, Winnie. Oh, it's Winnie. Yeah, hold on. Let me grab her.
Yeah, she jumped up there right when we first started, and it's just been kind of watching over your shoulder.
That face. We don't really know what kind of dog she is. She was a second chance rescue at the Humane Society.
Okay.
So these are animals that are from out of state that came from overcrowded shelters and were at risk of being put down. So that was her. And when I saw her in the ad, all I could see were these giant ears. And I said, that's my dog.
She looks like a little schnauzer.
Yeah, I think she's got some schnauzer, maybe some Yorkie. She definitely has like that terrier instinct to search for rodents and stuff. Mm-hmm. She killed one of the baby chickens this summer.
Oh, no.
She just can't help it.
Yep. She acts like she knows right where the camera's at.
So yeah, she's my sidekick, my manager. She harasses me a lot.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
Well, I'll talk with you soon.
Okay, sounds good. All right, thank you.
All right, have a great day.
All right, you too.
Bye.
To learn more about Jeff, you can find him on Instagram and Facebook by searching Full Frame Apiary. You can also head over to beekeeperconfidential.com, where I'll include links to his social media accounts. If you've been enjoying the show and would like to help support what we're doing here, you can leave us a review on iTunes and like and share episodes on social media. I'm also on Patreon for those of you who want to give a little something extra, like our newest patron, Audrey. I appreciate all of you for listening. Please stay home and stay safe. Until next time, may the buzz be with you. Beekeeper Confidential is a Waggleworks production and is written and produced by Mandy Shaw.